you want to just tell me a bit about Meat Parcel, about what you guys are doing, and what makes it so special at the moment?
Yeah, Parcel was created out of this identification of a problem when it comes to virtual land in the metaverse, and that key problem is that listings are kind of scattered. Obviously, there are numerous virtual worlds. There are seemingly more coming, each week, each month, and yeah, the listings are scattered. It's also for a newcomer to the metaverse, and that will happen more and more. Obviously, off the back of the Meta announcement, it's now entered the consciousness of the mainstream that they will be looking to also get involved in virtual land. It's not essential to participate in the metaverse, but it's something that it's something that should be accessible to everybody. And so that accessibility and that simplicity and clarity around buying and selling virtual land, not just for newcomers, but also seasoned investors who are just looking for a better way to aggregate listings, to get a view on to price appraisals, valuation, that kind of thing. That's why Parcel was created. And so it's all about, at the very heart of that offering is this notion of community and really allowing the community, educating the community, bringing knowledge of the metaverse to the community, and for those newcomers to make it easier to get to grips with virtual land, and for seasoned investors to enable them to have a better experience of buying land.
I certainly got that impression as well, looking at the platform, that it's quite simple and easy to use and very user friendly. And I guess for my own curiosity, I'm really interested in where this is going to go. How do you envision the virtual land being used in the future? I mean, there seems to be a lot of attention to it. A lot of people are very interested in it. Where do you think that's going to go? What will it look like for you?
Well, virtual land, given that, I mean, if you believe what we saw in the video from Meta, and but it's also a message that's been long broadcast by the various virtual worlds, is that we're going to exist in the metaverse, and really what that means is that it will be a more immersive, enclosed, if you like, experience of the internet. You will engage with others not via your social media or your chats, but you'll be able to walk up to their avatar and speak to them. And so virtual land plays a big part for individuals, for communities that have sprung up around NFT projects, for brands, for organizations, charities, what have you. They will all, as is their right, seek their place in the metaverse, and so virtual land will be a space where people can put their flag in the ground and be a destination within that virtual world, or that virtual experience of the metaverse, for people to visit and interact with others and engage in commerce, etc.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And do you think that at some point they will all be aggregated together, or do you think you'll have separate metaverses that will multiply out, like we kind of have at the moment with Decentraland and Sandbox and these kind of different metaverses?
Yeah, it's a good question, because it comes down to how you define the metaverse. And I think, there's a definition that you would call Decentraland a metaverse, and the Sandbox a metaverse, and CryptoVox's the Somnium space, etc. The way I personally like to see it, and I think the way we look at it at Parcel, is that you have the metaverse, which is this parallel layer, this more immersive experience of the internet and an interaction on a virtual social level. And Decentraland is one iteration of that, is a virtual world within the broader metaverse, because you could also argue that the metaverse has features like decentralized finance is an element of the metaverse. And so, which is an integration of a virtual world and other elements within the metaverse. So I think in terms of aggregation, or more likely interoperability, the hope is that you would be able to move between, or at least move your goods or your your assets between a Decentraland and a Sandbox and a CryptoVoxels. If you're a landowner in each of these virtual worlds, obviously you can't move your land, but you could certainly move elements between those. And so I think interoperability within the open metaverse, which is really kind of formalized much more in the wake of the Meta announcement, I think it's going to be a key goal of the various virtual worlds.
Yeah, it seems like it makes it a much more clear-cut goal as well when people own specific virtual land. To make the most of it, I suppose, would be to connect it all together. And I suppose for people that, like myself, that might be kind of laymen or might be interested in getting into it, how do you start to invest in virtual land? How do you go about getting involved as a newcomer?
Yeah, well, getting involved is part of the problem that Parcel seeks to solve. At the moment. It's firstly, let's say, okay, we take the perspective of a newcomer. You've heard about the metaverse; it's been in the news the last month or so, more so. And so, you've heard maybe about one of the virtual worlds, or you've come across a plot of land on OpenSea. And so, at the moment, there's really no way to determine which of the virtual worlds you might want to be a part of. If investing is your sole focus, if the experience is your focus, then it really comes down to what's going on in each of those virtual worlds. But if we're talking purely from an investment perspective, then there's really no way to kind of understand the value of that piece of land. And while you might hear about a specific virtual world, you may miss out on understanding that there are other virtual worlds. You might be interested in capturing a spread of virtual property. And so yeah, it would be through the various individual marketplaces of the different virtual worlds, or you might go through OpenSea. And so that's what's driven Parcel to create this aggregation of listings and just make that gateway to the metaverse much easier. Yeah.
And to spread it across, I suppose, the different platforms. And then, so your panel at the end of the Metaverse Conference coming up now, 2nd of December to the 3rd of December, your panel's on real estate and the future of the Metaverse. What is it that you want people to take away from that about the Metaverse? What are you hoping for from the different conversations there for viewers or listeners to kind of walk away with?
Yeah, we're going to just introduce Parcel and what the service exists to provide. But then we want to turn it over to a discussion, because for us at this stage, in the early days of what we're offering, it's about understanding all of the various different groups and how they interact with land, the problems that they face, the problems that their communities face. And we'll have people on the panel. We've got confirmation from Janine Yorio from Republic Realm, obviously very well known as major investor in property. Bought the largest or the most expensive parcel of land in Decentraland this year. We're hoping to have a representative from one of the virtual worlds, and we're also having Mark Studholm from Metamundo, which is a company an organization that has creatives and enables, sort of connects them with the virtual world. So we want to know what it means for creators, designers, people who build, architects, build structures for the metaverse. What problems did they face in accessing and getting their work onto the land in the virtual world? So we're looking for a real spread across that spectrum of the metaverse and virtual world experience, and just opening up that discusussion and then turning that over to questions from the audience.
Yeah, it's an absolutely fascinating topic, to be honest. I'm really looking forward to hearing about what comes out of it, and there'll probably be a bit on interoperability there as well, and the different platforms and where that might go, and probably Meta as well, I'd say, will be discussed.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, Dave.